In your packet, there's several things you need to look for. You're going to want to get this too, if you can, at some point. Alright?
Okay.
When I'm talking up there, I'm going to be referring to the map up there as well. So in your packet, ladies and gentlemen, this, I'm going to start giving you these. These are really good. These are called telescoping the times. These are from my other book. And you know how you deconstructed the essays last, we did all the 6 free-writes? You're going to start webbing these every time I give them to you. These are excellent. They're summaries, they're 2-page summaries on, like every chapter, but they're not directly related or connected to Brinkley. So keep that in mind. On the second page is exactly what you're seeing on the board. There's going to be a guided note-taking. You're going to be taking notes as I go along. I'm going to be talking and lecturing about World War I. You're going to fill in the blanks. Okay? There's about 4 pages. It's going to take us quite a while, a couple days. So as we go along, you're going to fill in the blanks. And at the same time, you're going to be doing your regular class work at home. On the back, there's a map. Now, this map is very specific to your chapter, okay, on World War I. This map is not the same map that I will use up here in the class. I will refer to this several times, okay? You have to understand that this map was the map that was created after World War I. This map was the map before World War I. So, there's a country called Prussia that we're going to be talking about. Prussia would be like Germany, parts of the Czech Republic, which is what it is now, and parts of Poland. Poland actually was off the map for about 100 years before Poland. Anybody Polish in here? You're after you guys. Okay, because they're always getting picked on, right? And part of Poland was part of Russia, so it's called Prussia. So just put a P on Russia, and just think of Germany. But Germany being bigger, okay? And we're gonna focus on this area in the beginning of the thing. So what you might want to do with this is fill this in using a map in your chapter, because that's how it's created, so that you can visually see what the map looked like before World War I. It's very important because after World War I, 9 new nations are going to be carved, and this map's going to change. It's not going to look like this anymore. So that's why I gave it to you. This is a visual thing that will help you, but it's up to you whether you do it or not. Okay? Because I'm not gonna check this. I'm just gonna check the regular one. Okay? Now, as we go through this, I will try to be as animated as I can, so that you can remember all this information that I'm showing you. Okay? So we're gonna start out, and we're gonna just basically discuss the name. We call it World War I. When did it become World War I? And when World War II began, or when that started, right? But here's the thing. In the beginning, it was called the Great War. And after the war, it was so devastating that they said no war could ever be as devastating as this. And so we're going to call it the war to end all wars. What happened? World War II came along, right? Okay. So, just like when we were talking about the Great Plains, remember the Great Plains were called what in the beginning? The Great American Desert. And then what were they called later when we found out there was some good stuff over there? Alright, it was the breadbasket of America. There was a lot of farming and stuff like that. And then they found gold and whatever. So, that's what the war is called. Now, how did it begin? You always have to talk about what happened beforehand, the causes, the long-term causes. That's what we're going to talk about mostly today. But before that time period, let's talk a little bit about the background here. So the background in the late 1800s and early 1900s, well, and this happened before this. Remember, how did the United States do its little imperialistic thing in the late 1800s? Who can tell me? What did we do to be imperialistic, to be a big dog on the force? Remember we were talking about that? I'll give you a hint. We took some territories and went and bought some. We might even we went to war. What are we talking about? Spanish-American War is one of them, absolutely. How did we? Okay, so what did we get from the Spanish-American War? Puerto Rico, the Philippines, Guam. How did we get the Philippines? I mean, we fought over there and we fought the Spanish. But what did we end up doing? Like, remember we didn't want to lose too bad? We paid $20 million. Remember the cartoon, right? How did we get? What were some of the other things we got? So we took that one by war, right? We took Alaska. Did we take Alaska? We bought it from who? All right, the Russians. How did we get the other really? I should have done that. All right, Hawaii, right? That was my interpretation of the hooligans. Okay, I've seen it in person. Anyway, so we annexed Hawaii, or we convinced them to, maybe give it to us, let us have it as a territory, and then later on became a state. So, we acquired all those places because we needed strategic places around the world for our neighbors, for our navy. Excuse me. But the European countries have been doing that forever. How do you think we became a country? We were a colony of England, right? And the Europeans have gone into Africa and gobbled up Africa for themselves. You go to South Africa, what do they speak? They speak English. Why? The England took it over, right? If you go to India, now they speak Indian, right? Or the different dialects, but they also speak English as well. How about if you go to the Gold Coast? Bonjour.
French.
They speak French because the French are taking it over. So you can go into Africa and you can just go all over the place, and almost every single state or country, I should say, in Africa at one point spoke a different language because somebody went in there and took it over because slavery ruined the whole thing. Okay. So with that being said, imperialism is going to be one of those reasons. These are the recipes for World War I. Okay? There are 4 things, and you're going to write these down in your packet. I'll move this up. You're going to want to fill those in right now. Can you all see that? You guys see that? So we've got nationalism. Not necessarily in this order. Okay? I just remember them. Imperialism, militarism, and alliances. Okay, so let's start with nationalism. Nationalism to me is patriotism on steroids. You know what patriotism is? Every time I think of patriotism, I think of people sporting their flag. Okay, so they're sporting their flag, they're waving it, and they're also willing to die for their country. I always ask this question, and it's always disappointing to me. I say, how many people of you, died for the United States? And nobody raised their hand. Would any of you? No. Didn't think so. Why not? Where's the patriotism? Don't you love living here and having the freedom? Would you fight for freedom if it came down to it? You must. So anyway, nationalism, we can talk about the textbook definition, okay? And it's very specific too. I mean, extreme patriotism is a general term. Specifically to this topic of World War I, we're going to be talking, we're going to start out with Germany and this guy named Bismarck. And so, he has a desire to unite all the German-speaking peoples of Europe. Now, I told you today Germany is smaller than it used to be, right? And there are Germans that speak outside of Germany, like in Austria and parts of Switzerland and so forth, right? Okay? So, if you look at Germany back then, it's a lot bigger than I have right here. Just basically, let's just say that this was Germany at the time of Prussia, but all these people in the outside area here speak German too. So under nationalism, Bismarck's going to want to unify all the German-speaking peoples, not just the people that are in Germany at the time. Does that make sense? Okay? So keep that in mind when we talk about that, because the Germans are going to be the ones that are pretty much going to start this whole business. The desire to unite all people of a nation under a single government, seeing pride in one's nation, love of country, willing to sacrifice it as well. The doctrine that your national culture and interests are superior to everybody else. You remember at the end of when we were talking about Spanish regular Americans being for that. You know, we want to go take things because we feel like we're superior. That's the same attitude. Okay? All right. And aspiration of national independence felt by people on a foreign domination. Okay. So, that's nationalism. So when I am talking or I'm teaching nationalism, I want you, it's almost like a mnemonic device. I want you to think of me, and I'm going to wave the flag. I'm going to wave the flag. So when I do this, you're going to all say nationalism. Are you ready? All right, 1, 2, 3. Nationalism. Okay, so what is nationalism? Pride in your country. Are you willing to what? Fight for it and possibly even die for it. Depends on how nationalistic you are, right? Okay. The second one is imperialism. Now, I already kind of talked about that, and I said there's about 3 different ways you can do it. You can take it, you can buy it, or you can take it over without doing either of those and just persuading the people to do it, which is called annexation. Okay? So imperialism, as I was talking about with Africa, was an example of that. And let's say, I mean, we could talk about right now, right? What does the United States always want to have control of? Oil, right? I mean, isn't oil the blood of our machines and our cars? I mean, especially Detroit, right? You know, we need oil. Are we willing to fight other countries for it? Have we? Can you give me some examples, maybe? Iraq, maybe? Maybe Afghanistan? You know, is there a lot of oil over there? Yeah. What's in between Iran? You never know. So, anyway, we are willing to compete for those things, and eventually we're going to be doing that, you know, because China, like I was telling you before, they can start driving, and prices are going to go up, and there's going to be a huge competition, you know, for fossil fuels. Anyway, so imperialism is that thing. So here's my imperialism thing. There's a line right here. I don't know if you can all see it, but I'm going to walk over into another country and take it. Okay, so as I walk over, that's going to be my example for imperialism. What's this one? All right, what's this one? Okay, keep that in mind because I'm going to switch it up in a minute. Third one is called militarism. And militarism sounds exactly what it sounds like. It's nations building up their military so that they can get what they want later. It's the big guy syndrome. You remember Teddy Roosevelt? Okay, Teddy Roosevelt carried around a big what? Big stick, right? So he would speak softly, so he'd go over to Kid Squire and say, listen, Squire, you know, I really want to do that homework. Okay? Let's say Kid Squire doesn't do homework. And, you know, it's really important to do that homework. Now, the whole time, I'm holding my stuff right here. I think it's really, really important that you do your homework. And if he doesn't do his homework, I have the stick, you know, to be able to use it later if I need to, right? All right, so, you know, it's the whole idea. I'm going to build up my military in case I need it. And in the case of World War I, they're going to use their military to get what they want. Okay, whether that's unifying all the Germans or whatever. So building up your military to solve problems, okay? And then, so that one, I call it the 6-shooter. Okay, that's the militarism one, all right? Got it? Okay, what's this one? What's this one? All right, what's this one? Okay, got it? Not materialism, militarism. Don't get to me. There's a difference. Materialism is like, you know, going shopping. Okay. All right, so the last one are alliances. When George Washington gave his farewell address, what did he say? He gave some advice. Do not get into foreign entanglements, is kind of the way he said it. And then he said also don't form political parties. Did we do either? Well, actually, to this point, we really didn't get into any alliances. However, we did form political parties. So alliances can be a couple different things. You can look at them sometimes like treaties. It can be the same thing. So, in this case, it's a system where a country will make a deal or agreement with another country to back up them in a military dangerous situation. So, I might make an alliance. Hey, how you doing? Mr. Bellos. Oh, you are? Oh, hi, how you doing? So, you know, I really don't like this guy that's behind you. And, you know, I don't know what your feelings are towards him, but, you know, if I ever get in a fight with this guy, would you promise to stay out of it?
I'll help you.
Oh, you can help me, okay. But in this case, you know, I might necessarily, or even if I get in a fight with somebody else, would you promise to stay out of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's also the thing where if I do go to war with him, you'll actually back me up. Would you do that for me? Awesome. We just made an alliance. What do you want to call it? We'll call it the Aaron Alliance. The AC. The AC Alliance. Okay, so we've got militarism, and we've got nationalism, imperialism, and alliances. Okay, those are the four main causes, the long-term causes of World War I. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? What's this one? Alright, I'm walking. And? Okay, good enough. Alright, very good. So I'm going to ask you that. Beginning of class tomorrow, I'm going to say, what are the four long-term causes of World War I? And you need to tell me those things. Alright, without looking at the board, name one name for World War I. What's different than World War I? Not the big war. Close. The Great War or the war to end all wars. Why? Alright, because up until this point in history, it was the most devastating war ever. Did you know they're still finding, it's true, they're still finding like shells and so forth, like, you know, cause a lot of stuff is, a lot of wars and stuff like that are fought in farm fields. So the farmers would be like, you know, going along in their tractor and all of a sudden, boom! You know, because they're going over these munitions for real. Yeah, it happens. Not a lot, right? So it's my field. So they still find these things once in a while, unfortunately. But a lot of them are done. Alright, now what time are we doing? 5 after 6 o'clock, okay. Alright. I'm gonna briefly go over this because that's as far as I got with the other class. I'm actually talking a little bit more about the politicians and the women's vote with the other class. And if you want, I can actually, I'll do that and set this up. But once you guys fill in these bottom pieces here, you've got the German Empire. Prussia is one of your blanks. So just think of Germany as Prussia. We're going to talk about Otto von Bismarck tomorrow. He's going to be like the chancellor. He's not the emperor of Prussia. He's going to be the guy doing all the work. Because we all know that a lot of those guys are just what? Figureheads, right? And then the third one there is balance of power. The last one is British. Okay? Okay, any questions?